Hello everyone, and welcome to TFT Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with Oberon Banshee, and this is me with Goth Tarot, and I want to take a moment of personal reflection. I've been a little bit under the weather, would be a good way of putting it. I've had some issues with my back. It's been a chronic thing over many years, but thought I'd been better, but I got fooled. Long story short, I really appreciate people offering to send energy and people that did send energy. So I really appreciate that. I do think I made a difference, especially since I was just kind of toughing it out due to some personal other situations. I'm not going to get into it at this time. But I did want to take another moment to tell you that as I was warming up my cards for this reading, and I was using the Murder of Crows Tarot, which I often use for Goth Tarot, a particular card fell out. It just sort of fell out really oddly when I was shuffling the cards, and it just felt like it meant something to me. So of course I picked it up, but it's hard to say exactly how I found it reversed or not reversed, and so I've decided to sort of be liminal about it, in the sense that, you know, it could be either way. But it was, in fact, the Four of Swords. It was sort of turned sideways, so of course a part of that means healing, and I like that. Rest, recovery, and healing. So I just want to take a moment to share that. But in general, I had already decided on a particular kind of reading, and just in case you didn't know, yesterday, August 13th, was one of the feast days of Hekate. Praise her name. And of course, I'm not completely devotional, but I've often celebrated Hekate, more so when I had a more active group around me or a situation around me. At any rate, I wanted to give us an opening card from the Oracle of the Hekatean Path, which I did an unboxing for. So if you haven't seen it, I'd appreciate if you went by it, gave it a view, and maybe liked it even. But I'm going to do this in honor of Hekate. I just pull at random. Gorgo, the Grim, Fear. So maybe I should put down here. Number 5. If we own our fears, they no longer hold sway over our lives. Instead, we can wear the aegis of our own making and use conquered fear as an advantage. The Gorgon Medusa was often vilified as a man-hating monster, punished by a vengeful goddess for something out of her control. And yet, if we examine the punishment of Medusa, we can see that perhaps she was given the strength and power to never be taken advantage of again. Rise up and find yourself reborn, capable, and at peace with your past mysteries, insecurities, and fears. So that was our opening reading in honor of Hecate. So as I mentioned earlier, I would be using the Murder of Crows Tarot, and I've decided to work from the familiar 3-card method that we use sometimes on our live stream or for other reasons. Basically, the basic question, why it's important, and where it will lead to. So in this instance, we are saying, what is it mostly that we need to understand in our shadow existence or in our shadow lives? What is the kind of shadow we need to recognize or shadow work we need to do? What is it that we have to understand in order to deal with our fear, as the opening card said? Boy, I just want to use that card. So what do we most need to be aware of right now? What are the shadow things we most need to conquer and work on? And I've pulled the reverse 2 of Swords. And this could signify that maybe, to some degree, we sort of feel we have enough of the information we've been looking for, and we want to just move into that. We want to move into a time of action after maybe feeling we didn't have answers. And so, for me, this brings about a question that's interesting, which is that, are we moving too quickly? Have we really digested or understood that information? Are we at the right point of time for the action? So why is it important for us to have that question or to understand that? I almost want to pull another card, but it's the reversed Knight of Pentacles. And it may be important that we really slow down what we're doing. That maybe there's something that really demands we monitor the situation very carefully. And of course, I could think of an example or two. Maybe it has something to do with other people who are involved. You know, people that maybe we have to be careful of how we are dealing with, you know, their lives or their situations. Where will this ultimately lead to? It's strange because usually I don't get so many reverse cards from using this deck. So it's the reversed Knight of Swords, and I think where it leads to is suggesting that there's a possibility of brash or rushing behavior, rushing to some conclusion or rushing to uphold something. And basically I think it's the idea that the speed is what makes it worse damaging effect. if you will. So it's something like that, and we should watch ourselves for that. The message or the thing to understand at this time is that there is this question about moving ahead on something, regardless of how well we may understand it. And so it could be a project of some sort. It feels like it is. It might be taking on something, though, that has, interpersonal, feelings about it too. But why it's important at this time is because maybe this question really does need to have every bit of detail occur within it to really study what's going on. And because this is Goth Tarot and this is about our shadow issues, then this may be a very important decision that's you or somebody has to make, and it may be about revealing something about ourselves besides whatever else is at stake here. It just kind of feels that way. A vulnerability, maybe. So then finally, where it does lead to, though, is that maybe there's an opportunity that will be missed if we don't follow this advice. Or maybe we have to find the Goldilocks way of approaching all of this. I'm going to leave it at that for the moment. But I do want to use the Crow's extra cards. Which one do I want? They're the two-sided ones that may be indicators of all of this. And so, is this the matter of something that maybe is more of a physical matter? It pertains to physical, logistical things going on in people's lives? Or is it something a little bit more emotional and maybe more guarded or internal feelings? So I try to basically mix this card around. It's the Crow Mother. This is about something really emotionally involving deep inside of us. It was kind of like what I said before about finding or revealing something vulnerable about ourselves that we're not exactly sure about. So the whole tone really does take on a different kind of edge than that. Whatever is compelling us to maybe take a course of action has some strong risks. I think I would like to end now with two things. I'm going to have a Dark Light Oracle from the Dark Light Oracle as a shadow work affirmation thing. But I'm going to use real briefly and say, what is our key word that maybe we understand from all of that? And for that, I'm going to use I've used it before as the word of the week, the Eglipicos Kiers, Egyptian kind of themed tarot. Each one just has a different word. It's sort of a unique tarot because it's not divided up specifically between the major and minor arcanas. They sort of blend together. So they're just basically cards numbered 1 through 78. So 1 through 22 is, of course, the key word of the major arcana. But after that, it gets a little bit different. There are a lot of cards that have maybe more subtle meanings that are reflective of the major arcana, but more specific or more subtle. And there it is, it fell. So I like it. So this is the word of the week. This is the capper, the advice of all of that. Perhaps it's number 36. Initiation. And so how does initiation apply to all this? Well, it could be the sense that this is a trial or a test in some way, that however we are maybe finding a way to deal with something really personal, something that maybe we weigh whether we are actually able to reveal more of ourselves through this action or through this thing. And if we don't, do we miss an opportunity, and how does that affect everything else? So maybe the importance is really profound, you know. I don't know. There's not much more I can say about this, but say that this seems to be almost an incredibly important period and a test. So with that, I think I can only quickly now move, quickly as I do, into the Dark Light Oracle. And the Dark Light Oracle I use to provide us a little bit of an affirmation and possibly shadow work. I also use another tarot or another oracle deck for that, the Earth and Bone Oracle, which I really like as well. But let's see what we got here. It's the Oracle number 1, Threshold. Shall you dare? Here you are, standing at the threshold of a new land, of a new adventure. Of course, everything may seem to you unsure, cold, and frightening. Facing the unknown is not always easy, and your fear is legitimate. Yet the only way to know the unknown is to experience it. You have to push this door. You have to cross this threshold. Just as I'm about to do myself with my wise crow. Move forward and wear your head high. Something better and greater than you think awaits you on the other side. All you have to do is overcome this fear of yours and walk through with confidence and willpower. You're about to discover a whole new territory in which many presents are to be found. But you cannot expect to find them if you just stay put and hesitate. So grab your holy sword and cross the threshold. Affirmation. I am ready to plunge into the unknown and to cross that threshold. For I know that a great adventure awaits me on the other side of fear. That's so cool because, of course, our very first card with the Hekatean path was fear. And I feel that as a shadow work and affirmation, it works pretty well with what we've been talking about here. The shadow we have to face within ourselves, we have to make sure we give it enough time to really develop what we're feeling here, and that it may be that now is the time to present that vulnerable part of ourselves and make it known and maybe work towards those things, you know, catching the opportunity. But are we really sure? Only you can know for yourself. I'm going to be a little bit of a weasel and just tell everybody that sometimes you do have to figure it out for yourself. But anyways, this was Oberon with Goth Tarot, and looking forward to seeing you next time. Don't forget about the other shows we have. I'm hoping to be at the live show, relatively improving, so I think that'll be tomorrow night, Thursday night, from 7 to 9 p.m. And then, of course, my regular emotional exchanges is on Friday, starting at 7 p.m. or whenever. And then there's happy hour on Saturday at 10 a.m. And then Sunday, Banshees Material Matters at 10 a.m. And, of course, another live show Sunday afternoon from 2 to 4 p.m. As always, take care, and don't be afraid of your shadow. Bye now.